Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Wednesday, the first day of November, year of our Lord 2017, welcome to the John Moore Show. A proper tip of the day, in light of the events in New York City yesterday afternoon, the 31st of October, I want to encourage everybody to work on their situational awareness. We have a pickup truck where it shouldn't be, speeding down a bicycle path where it shouldn't be. If only more people had better situational awareness, the death toll and the injuries, I'm sure, would have been far less. And that's your prepper tip of the day. Well, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families of that tragedy committed by the religion of peace. With patient waiting in the green room, my friend Professor James McCanney. Professor McCanney is a credentialed astrophysicist. He has taught astrophysics at the university level. He's taught mathematics at the university level. He's an amateur archaeologist, spends a lot of time exploring various archaeological sites. A accomplished author, having written 10 books, more on the way, and weekly radio talk show host. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, John. How are you doing today?
Really good. I assume you're up to speed on the news about ISIS attacking in New York City yesterday, sir?
Yeah. Once again, I see these, and, there's the regularity with which first, now we're not quite forgotten about Las Vegas, and then this, it's like constant. And to me, every time I see these, first of all, there's no investigation to see if these are related. And there was a lot of evidence of ISIS involvement in the Las Vegas deal. But when you say ISIS, you have to see CIA, Obama, Hillary Clinton, and a whole laundry list of other people involved in this. The building of all of this.
Well, there is evidence. You're absolutely correct, Jim. There is evidence of Obama and Hillary being behind the scenes, providing financial assistance in the form of weapons and money to ISIS on one hand. On the other, this incident yesterday appears to be a genuine believer that he anticipated to get his 72 9-year-old virgins upon being shot by the police. He was armed with a paintball gun and a pellet gun, neither of which can cause fatal injuries. My belief is he thought that, and this is my speculation based on what I know, there's a large police presence in that part of New York City, and after causing the death and destruction he did, waving these two pistols that look like real pistols would surely bring a response from the police in the form of being shot. And I would say that's what he was looking forward to, was dying on behalf of Allah so he could instantly be in heaven with his 72 9-year-old virgins who never get pregnant, never defecate, never urinate, and return back to being a virgin upon completion of sex every time, forever. That would be my expectation, is that he really believed that waving those make-believe guns around would get him shot to death, and that he would go to his eternal rewards, Jim. So there's two parts to this. The first part, you're completely accurate in terms of where the funding came for ISIS to get going. The other part is the bizarre, freakish, barbaric, dangerous beliefs of Muslims, which is a different topic. And they both fold in together. One complements the other.
Well, yeah, this country is, in fact, I'll probably talk a little about this on my show tomorrow night, just simply population. And the United States has grown by 60 million people in the last 15 years, all of them imports. And a lot of them, probably at least half of them illegal, more than half. So, yeah, and they're coming, they're coming from all these countries. Yeah, this is bound to happen. And
right.
continue to happen. But
right. It was
anyway.
more common 2 or 3 generations ago that the children of immigrants were prohibited from speaking the native language of wherever they came from. The parents wanted their children to assimilate and become Americans, top to bottom, left to right. And many immigrant families would prohibit their children from speaking the native language where they came from. Others, and I think it's fine, other families raise their children to be bilingual. But there's places in the United States, Chicago is one of them. You could grow up speaking Spanish, I should say, in Chicago, and there's neighborhoods where you can live in your entire life, 80 or 90 years old, and never have to speak English because of Spanish newspapers, Spanish radio, Spanish television, Spanish-speaking places of employment, and so forth. And so things have turned around a lot in terms of what many immigrants want to do, what their expectations are, how they want to live their lives, hasn't it, Jim?
Yeah, and I mean, you could say that for, I've been in the Italian sections of places like Chicago, or if you go within 50 miles of Miami, you better be speaking Spanish. You're not going to get a response.
Right.
There's certain sections, of the country where, East LA or something, you're not going to hear an English word spoken.
Right, and that applies to the public sector also. To be hired as a police officer in those parts of Los Angeles, you must be bilingual. You will not get employment as a police officer in those parts of Los Angeles unless you're bilingual. It's simply not going to happen. Yeah.
But the regularity with these, if the way I see it, a lot of these people are what we call sleeper cells. People who are just sitting there waiting for a command, and that's what I mean by not being investigated as a collective crime. The guy in Las Vegas or whatever, we'll probably never know the whole story there of multiple people and who was behind whatever. Certainly, the story that the news media ran with immediately doesn't make any sense at all. So now they come along with this one. But what bothers me, too, is that the news media just picks. I watched the news this morning, and it was local news plus national news, how they just pick up the story and run with it as if this, another terrorist event, bad guy, bad terrorist, and not do any analysis at all. They're simply given a narrative, they run with it, and that's the end of the story.
I watched the press conference yesterday. It had the mayor of New York City, the governor of New York State, I believe the chief of police. This is early on. The event had only happened less than 3 hours before. They did not mention the name of the suspect, although they knew the name. They did not mention he was from a 99% Muslim country, which they knew at the time. They did not mention that he was shouting Allahu Akbar, which they knew at the time. None of those things were mentioned. They just said it was an act of terrorism. And I was not surprised, but disappointed that that's the way they dealt with that initial press conference, Jim.
Yeah. When they have a press conference, they try and say the least possible because people immediately take something and they'll pick it apart. And so, like with the Las Vegas thing, the news conferences were pretty useless.
Yeah, and they got to be repetitive and repeating the same things and not giving any details or any substance. I got a segue here, topic change, Jim. I'm sure you're aware of my project. It's actually my listeners' project to find images of continents with new coastlines and movies and TV shows. Well, we got a new one as of today, a new one. A film, the title of it is The Night the Earth Exploded, a science fiction film, black and white. It came out in 1957, 60 years ago this year. I just watched a 2-minute trailer for it. I think the entire movie is available on YouTube, by the way. And we got a very nice 3x5 foot map of North America, and it is the Navy map. Very obviously, clearly the Navy map. I've got it here in front of me, blown up, and it's a Navy map. What can you say? Showing the East Coast, the Gulf Coast, and inland sea where the Mississippi River is, the West Coast underwater, Baja California gone, Florida gone, and so forth. So the quest continues, and the woman who found it, she's getting her choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. And it's a fun project, Jim, and this is called predictive programming, isn't it, sir?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a type of social engineering.
It is. I was taking a drink of water there. I'll probably watch the whole. It's going to be kind of corny on one hand because they talk about this massive, powerful computer that isn't as powerful as an iPhone. Of course, it takes up an entire room, and and things like that were, I'm sure they were impressive to a 1957 audience 60 years ago. But we can look at something like this and see see it with a bit of a chuckle and a little bit of humor. The premise of the film is that there's ever increasing earthquakes that will destroy the earth, and the hero, I believe, is attempting to stop them. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know everything. There's a love interest, of course, and I would regard it as a B-grade science fiction film. The stars of the film are people I never heard of, but they must have had some kind of reputation at the time, or they wouldn't have been in there. So the project moves forward, and everybody listening, if you find a movie or TV show with an image of a continent with new coastlines, get that to me. It's a fun project, and the list grows. I haven't counted how many we have here recently, but it's way more than a dozen movies and TV shows, Jim. And with the exception of the Godfather, all of them found this calendar year 2017. The Godfather was the only one we had prior to January this year.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I'm sure the list will continue to grow here.
Oh yes. I don't even want to prognosticate how long this list is going to go, but it's going to be huge. And when I've been passing along your suggestion, I think your suggestion, Jim, to look at science fiction films from the 40s and 30s is valid, and it certainly bears looking into. And I've put that out a number of times. So we probably have several dozen, if not a couple of hundred people that are searching all these movies and TV shows going back to the 1930s.
Wow.
And it's a lot of very bright people that have some time to do this, and they're very diligent and keep finding these images. Yeah.
By the way, that brings up another little topic. There's all this stuff about Weinstein, the guy in Hollywood, and
right.
The casting couch and all of this. Well, it should have been obvious to any moviegoer that we were not seeing top stars. I mean, if you think Jennifer Aniston or Halle Berry were good actors, excuse me, or a lot of these other people, terrible actors. And that's what we're getting on the silver screen.
Right.
Not because they're good actors, because something else was going on.
Right.
And now,
that's certain. Right.
What's even more comical is that Hollywood is coming around like they're the bastion of conservatism and of sanctity. Like, how could this happen behind our backs? They all knew it.
Of course they knew.
Everybody there knew it. Everybody on the planet knew it. But just ridiculous. It doesn't deserve.
It's a small club,
comment.
And your thought brings up what Joan Rivers said shortly before she died. I don't know if she was murdered or not, but Joan Rivers' off-the-cuff statement while she was walking from her vehicle to the door of a building she was going into, talking about how everybody knows that Michelle is a tranny. I think that's pretty much a direct quote.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle Obama. Yeah. And she was dead, 2 weeks later?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
But amazing. But it's amazing. The other thing is how Weinstein got taken down. I mean, his wife left him. The same thing happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, don't you think that all the people there knew he had something else going on? But the way they take these people down, it tells you that Weinstein crossed somebody's path. He did the wrong thing. And that's just a signal to everybody out there. Do not cross this line. Do not, whatever it was, because you'll go down in a ball of flames in an instant. And that's how they control those people.
Exactly. Yeah. And they, of course, same thing's been going on in Washington, D.C. for many decades. Yeah. Where a congressman or a congresswoman will be compromised through a honeypot scheme where they are lured into a situation where they're documented being with a woman or a man that they're not married to, and that's held against them to control them. There's an old saying in Washington, D.C., never get caught with a live boy or a dead girl in bed, which is very true, obviously. Yes, well, all these other issues are still with us, and Donald Trump, behind the scenes, is incrementally, Monday through Friday, dismantling the Obama administration and the three administrations before him, both Bush's and Bill Clinton. So he's got a lot of work cut out for him to dismantle these decades of bad laws that have been passed, doesn't he, Jim?
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. I remember when Cheney came in and the Bush Jr. people came in the first day. I remember it was Cheney and a host of people marching up the steps like they had a mission from God, and they did, in a sense.
Oh yeah, they were pumped up. Right. Here's our call numbers: 800-313-9443. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. The 1st of November, visiting with Professor James McCanny. His website's linked to my links page at thelibertyman.com. Jim, before we get to our first caller, tell people how they can listen to your 2 radio shows live and the archives, if you would, please, sir.
Thanks, John. Yeah, the James McCanny Science Hour at the Crossroads every Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Central Time from WWCR Nashville. Re-airs Friday night, 10 p.m. and Saturday morning, 3 a.m. Central Time from WTWW. And then there's many other airings on satellite Saturday. And all the ways to listen are on my webpage, jmccsci.com. and also the paid cast, which is $3.95 a month. And we still have the sale, half-price sale and the upsales for my ebook library, things like that. So all of that on the webpage. The paid cast is an extra hour of science, pure science every week. So anyway, that's it. All the information on my webpage.
Great. And our caller is Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, guys. Now, I've got 11, I think, of your maps here on my front seat. I was at Office Maps yesterday to get them printed, but apparently I'm still living in the 20th century. They want these things they want them digitally, they want them on a flash drive. So I've got one more day before the big sale is off. I can get 30% off on these things. So I will get this done, and I will get these things at least ordered by tomorrow. I'll be interested to see the new one. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But,
yep.
Yeah, I will definitely have these maps up by the holidays, and I will get a picture of it for you so that you can, see your work, displayed as a collage. And your check is in the mail, except when I say it's true.
Okay.
And that is, that's about all thanks a million. When are you going to get that new picture up? Anytime soon?
It's up. It's on my website right now.
Oh, is it really? All right. I'll get, what are you calling it? The night the world exploded or something?
The title of the film is The Night the World Exploded.
Yeah. All right. I'll grab that this afternoon. Thanks a million. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Sounds
guys.
good. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Okay, bye.
Jim, what Rick is doing, he's making a collage of all these maps that he's going to mount on his garage wall. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's gonna be a fun little project. He's a regular caller, and he's very diligent in this effort that he's putting together. And once the collage is done, we'll probably post that on my website also.
Excellent.
Yeah.
John, I had I defined a new word, and this has happened a few times on your show, but we're all familiar with the word conned. It's where somebody tricks you and plays a trick on you and, basically gyps you out of something.
Right.
But I defined the word calmed with an M. And this has happened a few times on your show where people will call in and do a mini commercial and try and refer people to some place where then someone would try to sell something to your audience. And it happened a number of weeks ago when somebody called in, and a woman, Mary, trying to promote a webpage where some guy is selling something for $25 that says that the hurricanes were made by power plants.
Right.
Remember that one?
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, but there was a $25 sale going on there at the time to some joker trying to sell something. Well, anyway, last week some joker calls in and says that there's a product out there that makes water filters work faster. And so I looked it up, and first of all, it's a tube that goes from the lower chamber of a gravity filter up to just to create an air passageway. The problem is that he's doing it on a filter that doesn't work. And the problem is when on the stainless steel container, the top one fits on so tight that it creates a back pressure on the filter. And so the filter they were demonstrating, if you let it just flow freely, the water just pours right through it. And so it doesn't filter at all. The whole purpose of a gravity filter is what you call contact time. You want the water to move slowly.
Right.
And in fact, the pressurized water filters are designed differently because they have to have much more contact time because the water's moving faster. So it's a totally different design. I sell both. But the tube that he's talking about will not work with my filters because my filters actually filter.
Right.
And I have a whole other thing here about after the break. We'll
do that after the break. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back after the break. J.R. Moore here on Wednesday, the 1st of November. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. There's a lot there. I want to remind people to check out Field Exercise USS Liberty, December 2018. It's a field exercise that everybody can participate. You get to pick your own parameters, pick out what you want to prepare for, and you're given a date to be finished, which is only 14 months away. So be sure and check that out. It might be just what you need to motivate you. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners. We're going to have Steve Whitman with us tomorrow. He hasn't been on my show for more than a year. Steve will tell his story about how the energy cleaner helped save his life. And I don't want to steal his thunder. He'll be on at first hour tomorrow. The energy cleaner is a marvelous healing device. I use mine every night. Steve Whitman and his wife use theirs every night. The healing electrostatic signal goes to every cell in your body, flushing out toxins, bringing in fresh nutrition. We focus on joint pain, arthritis pain, back pain. It helps all those things. Not getting a great night's sleep, it'll probably help there also. $285 shipping included. Keep in mind, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads. Keep in mind, I do take PayPal. PayPal is the most secure way to make any payment online. I have a toll-free R line. Don't try to call me. You won't get me. A toll-free R line only. Here it is. 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Professor James McCanney. And Jim, you got a follow-up from before the break there, sir?
Yeah, this whole idea of water filter testing, something that the filters I make and manufacture are tested. But the ad that this guy referred to is talking about, I'll name 3 brands on the air, ProPure, Berkey, and Alexapure. And they all do the same thing. They claim 5,000 gallons, that their filters will last for 5,000 gallons. That's for chlorine only. Their tests for other things like they say they take out virus, but they've tested to 10 gallons of water only, or chloroform, 10 gallons, or other tests for 200 gallons. And so it's very deceptive. And they're making these claims on the air. A lot of times I'm on shows and on comes an ad for one of these, and I'm going, these people, if you read the test that they actually post, they only test for like 10 gallons or something, and then they say that's good for 5,000 gallons. And the thing about the filters, these are black carbon blocks. They're made out of basically packing foam. It's an extremely cheap piece of material, and these are not filters. They're absorbers. So all I'm saying is that when people make claims about 5,000 gallons filtration, and they don't even take out fluoride or arsenic, you have to buy an extra filter just to take those out. And those are very expensive filters, and they only last for 500 gallons. They don't tell you any of this. So what I'm saying is that, like, these people call up, and like I say, you and me got calmed last week by somebody, and he's calling about a tube that you put in a filter and makes it drain the 2.5 gallon tank in 15 seconds or some ridiculous thing. Now, there's no contact time there. That's not filtering anything.
Right.
Yet, and there's no testing for it. There's no testing to show that when this drains in 15 or 20 seconds, as opposed to 2 or 3 hours for a real filtration, that's filtering anything at all. You see what I mean?
Right. Well, what the tube does is compromise the filtration and cut back on the ability to really, truly do its job, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it won't work with mine because if we have big tanks that we put my filters on, and they drip very slowly. Just because you open up an air passage, mine don't drip faster because they're actually filtering. And it takes time. You have to have contact time to filter properly. So anyway, all I'm saying is we got calmed, But and then what they do is they leave you, and then of course during a show there's no time to respond. So I hope people are listening this week that were listening last week and understand that this whole deal about water filter testing and the claims that people are making is really askew. And the companies I named, I would say, are the worst. Many of them. There's probably 10 companies in the last number of years that have come out with these black carbon filters. And I used to sell some, and I won't touch them with a 10-foot pole because it's packing foam. They take a circular bit and they carve it out of a piece of packing foam and call it a filter, slap 2 pieces of plastic on the end and say that's a filter, and it's not. I don't know where this came from, but anyway,
right.
It's important for people to know this and besides, they're not cleanable. The big reason I stopped selling them a long time ago, amongst other things I sold, was that in a flooding situation, they plug up and you can't clean them. And so they last one time in a flooding situation, and they're not for emergency, but they're selling them for emergency.
Well, something I recommend, and this goes for all water filters all the time, except maybe the big industrial ones, is to use paper coffee filters, pre-filter the water before it goes into the real filter. Right. In fact, that's or a T-shirt or something like that. That's a old military trick in a sense to get the gunk out before you do the final filtration. And exactly.
But there's claims about they take out viruses and they don't have testing. They test for like 10 gallons. A stack of paper will take out viruses for 10 gallons. The testing, they don't, if you read the actual reports they put out, they say 5,000 gallons. We call it the 5,000, the 50-gallon test, the 5,000-gallon claim. And that's what's going on.
Exactly. Well, I do have your water filters for sale on my website. You scroll down the left side, ladies and gentlemen, you'll find Jim's water filters for sale. And you've got it in stock and ready for shipment, don't you, Jim?
Right, exactly. And John is an affiliate. So, yeah, if you want my water filters, go to John's page where he's telling you and click on the ad and follow through.
Okay, we got a caller from Louisiana. It's Yeri. Good morning, Yeri.
Hi. I just recently bought that big Berkey water filter with the fluoride filters, and I discovered that the fluoride filters, which go below the main filter into the drinking water tank, they bleed aluminum hydroxide. Is that some kind of setup or something? I want to filter water. I don't want to put something in it.
That's one of the problems with those. Long time ago, I sold those. Now the arsenic and fluoride filtration is done inside my filters, and I don't sell those add-on filters. They do have aluminum, and it leaches into the water. So, yes, you're correct.
Okay, and they don't, so that's bad for you. The EPA says it's good for you, but if they say that, I believe it's bad for you.
Well, yeah, I can't say that it's going to harm you because that would, but yeah, they leach into the water, and that's just a fact of life. It's an aluminum substance that is removing the chloride, and they only last for 500 gallons.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get your filters from now on. I'm not using their filters. Thank you.
Sure. Well, it's all of instead of naming one particular brand, if it's a black carbon filter, it does not take out arsenic or fluoride. And you have to have those add-on filters. And actually, those are two of the main things you want out of your water. There's places in the country with very bad arsenic problems, and it's cumulative. So you want that out of your water, but a lot of people cannot use the add-on filters because it slows the flow down so much by adding another filter that it doesn't even work. And plus, they're like this guy said, they're hanging down into the bottom tank, and so they're hanging down into the filtered water, leaching out the aluminum hydroxide that's in the lower container.
All right.
Anyway, good call.
Yari, thank you for your call. We appreciate it. Water is not optional, and that's one of the big problems in Puerto Rico. They're working diligently on getting the water restored more quickly than the electricity.
Yeah. Well, we got hit in the factory. They came in and said, "Can we buy $250,000 worth of filters?" It was like, nobody has that much sitting there in stock. These relief agencies don't store stuff up. They should have a warehouse with all of this stuff where they purchase over time and it's sitting there ready to go. And so we've recuperated from that, but it's like really, those people got to get their act together. Because number one, there's not enough supply in the whole country to come into a place like Puerto Rico and give everybody a water filter. But if this happened over time before the emergency, okay, then there would be enough water filters there to take care of everybody's needs. Well,
for that situation, I would get in large commercial filters for each village, so at least everybody could have some drinking water.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's good to have your own personal one, but yeah, the city now. That's the other thing, John, is with that link on your page, I sell the commercial grade now, and those will run off a gravity feed too. You just need a tank up above a collection tank, and those will filter up to 12 gallons a minute. And the reason they do that is because these are big filters. There's 9 big 20-inch filters in that casing, and so that's where you get the flow rate. But it's the same quality as my regular counter-size gravity filters. But those are available there, and I've been recommending that people get those for their house, for a whole house filter. There's the MR5, which is 5 filter elements, and the MR9, which is 9 filter elements. And then it has the replacement filter packs there also. So I encourage people to go check that out. Those are all on that link from your page there, John.
All right. Well, Jim, what direction you want to go next?
Okay. This is something very important about the wing generator latest announcement. I'm starting to accept, basically, this is the way I'm going to work it, applicants to have an installation. Now, this could be off-grid or it could be on-grid. So this is something that's coming in. So we're going to, first of all, screen people as to their location, make sure that they don't have issues with zoning or other issues, that they have a viable site. And then we're going to reclassify them. Then we're going to contact them. And then put them in order. Then they're going to put down basically a down payment to show that they're serious, and then we're going to start installing. So this is very exciting news, and so that's opened up today. We can start by using my webpage email address. It's jmcc@jmcannyscience.com. And so that's on my webpage too, that email address. But,
all right, we got a caller. Here. Go ahead,
yeah,
Jim.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, we got a caller, Wolverine Fred in Michigan. Good morning, Wolverine Fred.
Good morning. A veteran buddy of mine has a Russian SF friend, and they swear by a material called shungite or shungite from some area of Russia, Karelia or something like that. It's all natural material that's been around thousands of years and supposed to filter out everything, and just wondering if Jim had any knowledge of that.
Well, it's probably it's something that I use in my pre-filter, and it's a shell, microscopic shells that are ground up. And you find it in deposits in the earth, and it's well known. And it's a white material. It's like pure white. Yeah, and it's used for filtration. The thing, you have to have a special container, and it's a little difficult to manage. That's why filters, like my ceramic filters, are actually made from a similar type of material before it's cast into a ceramic mold and everything else. And they're not just ceramic. There's other things that go in it to take out the other chemicals. So the problem with that is if you just have out in the country water like you would find in Russia with no chemicals, then you're good. It's going to remove bacteria and silt and other things like that. But if you have chemicals like we have in this country, then that is not going to work. It's not going to take out that other stuff.
Yeah, I had that feeling, indeed. And there was another one, John.
It's called DE, diatomaceous earth.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that too.
Their term for it. But yeah, that's what it is, and it will not work for we have tremendous chemical problems in this country, both natural and a lot of man-made stuff. So the glyphosates and the chloramines and the chlorine and the arsenic. There's two forms of arsenic. There's two forms of fluoride, natural and man-made. And the issue is that we have so many chemicals that the DE doesn't touch at all. That's why my filters have a 3-part filtration inside. The first stage is to get the gunk out. Second stage is to get a certain series of chemicals and toxins out, and the third stage has a third stage. So anyway,
Jim, I gotta ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you, owing to the fact of all the chemtrail crud that I've been learning about on YouTube, this guy Dane Wigington, geoengineeringwatch.org.
Yep.
I'm bringing this up only because, John, 3 summers ago, July 2014, you can see it on YouTube, Shasta County, California, convened a special forum with these pilots and scientists, even some folks from Fish and Wildlife out there. And for 3.5 hours, they presented their evidentiary proof that these chemtrails are killing people and wildlife, etc., the flora as well. And so I was wondering, Jim, is there any kind of a covering for the mouth and the nose? Because I've been out in this stuff a lot, and man, it just smacks me up bad when I get back, and I know I've been watching the skies for 30 years, and I can tell you honestly, I have witnessed jets where I could see the spray nozzles mounted on the vertical tail section, and these suckers must have been like 8,000 feet or less.
That's low. Hold your thought there, Wolverine. We got a break. We'll be right back. Visiting Professor James McCanny. His website's linked to my links page. Wolverine Fred, you had a thought you wanted to wrap up there, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just wondering, Jim, if there's anything in your realm of knowledge as to an air filter that one could wear when out and about.
Okay, let me just cover this. Like the California fires, they found a lot of chemicals in the fires. This stuff is very pervasive. It's on the ground. I've seen it in Florida. I've seen it in the Canadian border states, and it's really bad stuff. I mean, when this is going on, it's coming down. It's various colors. I've seen it green, other colors, and really, people are being attacked. I mean, this is a chemical attack, and it's pervasive. It's like snow. It's everywhere. So I don't think it's good to be in these areas at all. That's all I can tell you.
Yep. Well, I'm going to move ahead, John, because of Shasta County and all those folks that participated. That's what has to be done in every county, because we should control the airspace in our counties, period. I think that's where it starts. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the call. Jim, we've got about a minute and a half here, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, John, I want to tell people have been waiting for the wing generator announcement, and so that's what's going on. We're starting to take names of people who are interested, are serious customers, not just, interested in information. Right. And so send in their location and conditions. They have to have tree-free area. It has to be, they have to designate if they want to be on or off grid. Just mention also there are no outstanding licensed developers anymore. This has all come together in one. And so the way to apply is simply write to the email address, jmcannyscience.com. And we'll go on a first-come, first-served basis, but then that'll be reordered based on the ability of people to, their conditions, et cetera. So say if they want to be on-grid or off-grid, and then also they have to be serious before we go out and actually discuss seriously with them. They're going to have to put a deposit down. And so a significant deposit to separate out the interest seekers from the real customers.
That makes perfect sense, Jim. Yeah.
So anyway, that's important. So just once again, the email address, jmcc@jmcannyscience.com. And in the subject heading, just put wing, W-I-N-G.
All right. Jim, thank you very much. Have you back next week, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Top of the hour break. We'll be back with open lines. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Wednesday, the first day of November. Prepper tip of the day. In light of the events in New York City yesterday, the 31st of October, I want to encourage everybody to ramp up their situational awareness. I'm sure that the people who ended up being victims yesterday had no idea that they were in danger. Next thing they know, they've got a pickup truck running them over, literally running them over. Very tragic event. Better situational awareness may have helped some of those people avoid injury or death, and that's why I want to encourage all of you to ramp up your situational awareness. Before I forget, we will have a J.R. Moore radio show meetup tomorrow evening at the Benton Square Restaurant in Rolla, Missouri. Dinner in the public dining area at 5 p.m. We have our meeting upstairs at 6 p.m. in the meeting room on the third floor. You do not need to buy dinner to attend. It's free and open to the public. And we'll have an open discussion about the events of the day. Look forward to seeing a lot of you there. I need to contact my webmaster, Tim Spencer, about getting that posted on my website. If you listened last hour, you'll know that, and by the way, we're having open lines. Call numbers 800-313-9443. We now have a new image of North America with new coastlines published. I watched the trailer for the film. The title of the film is The Night the Earth Exploded. The Night the Earth Exploded, 1957. The same year as that TV show that started all this earlier this year. 1957 for Highway Patrol with Broderick Crawford. This latest image, actually closer to the real Navy map than the one in Highway Patrol. The inland sea is more closely conforms to what the Navy is currently saying. The film is a science fiction film about a series of earthquakes that they're concerned is going to cause harm to the planet. And that's the premise of the film, the plot. It's black and white, a B-grade movie. I think I may have recognized some of the actors in there. I'm not positive. I'll probably watch the whole thing just for the fun of it. And, let's go down the list here. This, with the exception of The Godfather, this is all from 2017. And it's you, I can't take credit for this. It's you listeners that are finding this stuff. One human being could not possibly watch the hundreds of thousands of hours of movies and TV shows the past 65 years. The earliest film we've got so far, I believe it's the Miami Story, 1954. That's the earliest movie we've found so far. A B-grade crime film from 1954. So starting from the top, we've got the Vatican, we've got The Godfather. The first image, we've had that one recovered, another listener. It's been about 3.5 years ago or so. And The Godfather's visiting with a high-level Vatican official in the Vatican. They're in an ancient room, probably more than 1,000 years old, with 20-foot ceilings and the murals on the wall to show the various continents with different coastlines. The next one is what opened the floodgates this year, Highway Patrol with Broderick Crawford. It's one of the better images, quite frankly. Crawford is a homicide detective investigating a murder case, and he's in the office of a petroleum company executive. The wall of the office, there's the Navy map. The film was black and white. Broderick Crawford's forehead is right there by Portland, Oregon. It's one of the better images. Moving on down the line, we've got Superman and Lex Luthor. Then we've got Hunger Games, hugely popular. Beautiful Mind, another hugely popular film. Superman Returns. The next one is kind of special, and we still need help on this one. NCIS, hugely popular TV show. One of the characters is the director. The director has a nice office with wood paneling, dark wood paneling. And there's a full-color map of North America on the wall facing the audience with its own light. I've seen different versions of this map. One, the earlier ones, it had a plain frame. Now it's got a very elegant gold frame with its own light shining on it. What I need help with is getting a nice crystal clear, sharp version of that map. My belief is that it might be in the first first or second show that they had the director's character with this image on the wall. That's just my belief of how it's more likely to be found. If somebody's an NCIS fan and you can get that image, we'll make an exception. So we've already got some images from there, but if you get a nice crystal clear sharp one, which we don't have yet, you also get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs. Moving on from there, Captain Midnight television show. This is one of those Saturday morning TV shows for children. I used to watch it when I was a boy, 1955. The next film is Elysium. Then we've got Dancing with the Stars, a very stylized image of continents with new coastlines. The next one is not a movie or TV show, but it's a poster inside a Japanese restaurant in Austin, Texas. Then we go to Tyler Perry's A Medea Christmas. Next is the oldest movie we've got so far, Miami Story, 1954. Next is the oldest image we've got, 1952, Look Magazine, July 1952. Look Magazine I think it's still being published. I'm not positive, but in 1952, I would say maybe 1/4 the homes in this country, maybe a 20%, I don't know, had a subscription to Look magazine. Hugely, hugely popular. The article had to do with UFOs. They have the Navy map, and they have superimposed on the Navy map all these images of discs that have been sighted all around the country. Then we go to a very recent one, skipped from 1952 to 2 months ago, August 2017, Discovery series. It's a TV show, and it had to do with the FBI conducting an investigation to find the Unabomber. And let's see, I'm going to click on that image. I'm pretty sure this is the one. Yeah. So we've got 2 male FBI agents, a female FBI agent in this room. Looks like a common government office, plain Jane office environment. And this one image I'm looking at, it's right between the 2 male agents, a full-color map of North America on the wall. It's the Navy map. It is the Navy map in full color. And that's a good one. Another recent one, same month, August, television show, Louisiana Flip and Move. This one kind of caught me off guard. Now, this is a TV show about people who buy homes, fix them up, and sell them. And this image shows there's a at the bottom of the image it says master bedroom. This is an image from inside somebody's master bedroom, and there is a framed map of the world. You can see that there's no Florida, Central America is underwater, Baja California is underwater, and so forth. It's kind of skewed to kind of a oblique angle, but you can tell the things that I just mentioned are accurate. Smithsonian Channel. Now this image is supposed to be from many millions of years ago, showing an inland sea. It's not the Navy map, but we included it anyway, just for reference and for curiosity's sake. Then we go to Contact. There's a bunch of images in this. We picked out 2 of them. 1997 film, Contact, 20 years ago. That's not one of the better ones there. Let's pick out this other one here. Here we go. It's a little bit better. And it shows, it's not the Navy map that I'm used to seeing, but it does show the East Coast and the Gulf Coast underwater, and some water damage back over around California, Arizona. Not the best image, and it's kind of funny. Several of these have, these are movie sets. They make it appear that there's a window with Venetian blinds and light coming in, ambient light coming from outside, illuminating the map. Is that image. And last but not least, one I just received yesterday. Tim got it posted last night. And science fiction film 1957, the night the Earth exploded. It is clearly, obviously, the Navy map. So, here's our quest. Here's our project. I know many of you have the hobby of watching movies and TV shows. Some like to focus on the 1950s, some the 1960s. Whatever that hobby might be, keep your eye out, keep a sharp eye out for images of continents with new coastlines. Let's keep those coming in. Let's get the list growing here. Now, somebody, I don't know that I'll have the time, but somebody might want to start printing out lists of the credits, the men and women in executive positions in these films, not the grip and the best boy and all these people that do their important work, but they're not in executive positions. It would be a a worthwhile project, I believe, to print out the names of the people in executive positions in these films and TV shows, and see if there's any commonality between them. For example, we've got 2 images now from 1957. Were there any of the same executive level people with the TV show Highway Patrol that were with the film The Night the Earth Exploded? Of course, seeing as how it's 60 years ago, many of these men and women have passed on, of course, and being able to interview people from that long ago is going to be real difficult, if not impossible. But locating people that were involved in making movies and TV shows in the last 10 or 20 years shouldn't be all that difficult. If we ever get that far, that remains to be seen. Well, let's make this list grow. I'd like to see it double and triple. And with what I've seen the past 10 months, we're starting the 11th month today. What I've seen the past 10 months, I think that's very possible. I really do. I think it's very possible. I want to talk a little bit about field training exercise USS Liberty, December 31st, 2018. I've had people bugging me for years. John, when's it going to happen? It could be any number of things. John, when's it going to happen? About a year and a half ago, I flippantly started saying 3 p.m. tomorrow. What I found, and I believe this is a true statement, people searching for a date to get prepared by are the ones who aren't prepared. By definition, of course they're not prepared. By definition, they're concerned because they're not prepared. Their goal, many of them, not all, is to continue living the comfortable urban, suburban life that they're living until they have no choice, and then they'll make their preparations. That's not wise. That really is not wise at all. If you're a regular listener, you know that my recommendation for long-term survival is being part of a hobby farm. A hobby farm is a place where the food produced is meant to be consumed by the people that work there and live there, as opposed to running a business. Now, obviously, if you've got excess honey, you sell the excess honey. If you've got excess eggs, you sell the excess eggs. Of course you do. That's not the primary purpose of the hobby farm. The primary purpose is to feed the people that live and work there. Now, I don't, where I call my place a ranch, it was a resort beginning about a century ago this year. It's never been a farm. It's never been a ranch. They had horses, but those were for the vacationers, the tourists that came out here. On one hand. On the other, I have all the seeds that I need and tools to get a garden going. I have neighbors that I can trade for rabbits and eggs and goats, chickens, to establish those in a relatively quick fashion. And, of course, I've got sufficient food stored up to take care of needs for quite a while. But the men and women I know locally who have hobby farms, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, especially if you have animals. Once you go from just gardening and having a garden and fruit trees and grape arbors, once you transition from that to having animals, it doesn't matter what they are. You add a tremendous level of complexity and work and commitment to deal with animals. Those animals need to be cared for 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That is not optional. Now, I've helped out with neighbors who've gone on vacation, feed their chickens and feed their dogs, and it's not a very burdensome thing to do that. But some of these other animals, especially something like dairy cattle, oh my, you got dairy cattle? Yeah. You think you're going to take a vacation? Yeah, think again. It can happen. You need to have people that you trust that have the skills to take care of the dairy cattle. Beef cattle, depending on how many you got and where they are, it's not quite as tough. We have a break. The call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Wednesday, the first day of November. I was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Saturday. I had a speaking engagement. Met some great people. During a break, I was talking to a couple of men about the War of Northern Aggression, also called the Civil War. And I said to them, gentlemen, there's only 4 things you need to remember to get people to begin to realize the truth about the Civil War. 4 things. Here they are. Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware. Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware. The Civil War was not a civil war. It was a war between 2 countries, which can't, by definition, be a civil war. The United States of America against the Confederate States of America. That was the 2 enemies. Most people in the United States, unfortunately, especially if they attended public school, they believe that Abraham Lincoln declared war, the U.S. Congress declared war on the Confederate States of America because of slavery. That's what most people believe. And evidence is offered that is not evidence. It's just statements of fact, but such as the Declaration of the Confederate States for leaving the United States, which did mention slavery. That's a non-issue, quite frankly, and it's not accurate. Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware never left the United States. They were never part of the Confederate States of America. Now, if the United States attacked the Confederate States of America to end slavery, how could it be? How could it possibly be that within the United States of America, slavery was still openly practiced in Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware? How is that possible? Isn't it counterintuitive? You're trying to tell the mothers and fathers of the soldiers from Kentucky that their young man is going off to war to stop slavery in another country, all the while they buy and sell men and women, boys and girls, just like they're sacks of potato, or horses or mules in your own state? No, that's that's reality. That's history. That's true history. Abraham Lincoln could have given a hoot about slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't free anybody. It didn't free the slaves owned in the United States. In fact, they were specifically excluded from the Emancipation Proclamation from freeing the slaves in the United States of America. Read it carefully. Read it carefully. That's real history. No, the Civil War was about money. About the money that the money generating engine of the United States of America were the southern states. They were taxing, and those taxes were going to the north and not coming back to the south. And that was it. That was the real reason. If slavery was the reason, Abraham Lincoln would have freed the slaves in the United States, which he didn't do. Did he? No, he didn't do that. It would have cost far less in money, and no lives would have been lost if he'd simply bought the slaves in the Confederate States of America. He didn't even buy the slaves in the United States of America. They were all slaves, all during the war. 1861, 1862, 1863, 64, and 65. Sounds like 5 years to me. That's real history, not make-believe history. We got a caller in hold here. We got Scott in Arizona. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. I was just kind of giving you a heads up on the electronic pulses that the chainsaws now are going computerized. So if you want a carbureted chainsaw, you better check them out now.
All right. Yeah, that's that's amazing. We appreciate the heads up. Thank you, Scott. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Wednesday, the first day of November. The year's quickly slipping away, isn't it? We'll be into the holiday season here soon, and next thing you know, it'll be the 1st of January, 2018. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. There's a lot there. There is. You can spend a lot of time there educating yourself, informing yourself, entertaining yourself. It's not all doom and gloom. Look at the Real Housewives of ISIS, for example. It's a fun 3 or 4 minutes, and I think you'll get a chuckle out of it. And of course, we have energy cleaners. This is my home business. Tomorrow we're going to have Steve Whitman on the first hour. Steve's life was saved by the energy cleaner. That's his testimony. The energy cleaner is a healing device, puts out a electrostatic healing signal. That's what it does. That signal goes to every cell in your body, flushing out toxins, bringing in fresh nutrition. If you've got arthritis pain, it will most likely help. Joint pain, back pain, yep, it'll help there. Not getting a great night's sleep, that's one of the things we really like about the energy cleaner. I sleep like a rock. That first 6 hours, I am just sleeping like a rock. It is the most restful, peaceful, deep sleep that you can imagine. It's wonderful. Only $285 shipping included. Keep in mind you're not risking anything with your energy cleaner purchase because I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do for me to you personally. Check out the details at my website, the patent application information, the details on the mattress pads. Go ahead and you can place your order right there at my website using MasterCard, Visa, PayPal. PayPal, by the way, is the most secure way to make any payment online, and PayPal now takes payments. That's great. If you need to spread that out and you live in the USA, you can make payments to PayPal. I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Keep in mind that, once again, a 30-day money-back guarantee. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We've got open lines taking your questions, calls, and comments at 800-313-9443. If you've got a preparation story to share with us, we'd love to hear it. What you've been up to in terms of your own personal preparations. It's going to be slightly different for everybody. There'll be some commonality and a lot of differences. I've been at this a long time. My first private paid consultation in preparation was the summer of 1977, more than 40 years ago. It was 40 years ago this past summer. So I'm into my 5th decade in this work. Back when my daughter was being born in 1973, I believe it was. If I got it wrong by a year, I'm sorry, dear. Being in the room while the birth was taking place was a very novel thing. The husbands, the fathers, simply weren't in the room when their children were being born. It was a new thing, and I remember this doctor asking me, and I would have been, 25 years old at the time, if I was okay with the sight of blood. And of course, he didn't know I was a combat veteran of Vietnam at the time. And I said, Doc, I'm fine. I'm going to be okay. So it was a miracle. Every human birth is a miracle, in my opinion. So my daughter is laying in the gurney with her mother, and I reached down so my daughter could grasp my little finger, and her hand was so tiny that her little hands just wrapped around my finger, and I felt like there was an electric volt that went through me. That moment changed my life forever. I knew at that moment that I had the responsibility for the life and well-being of this completely helpless, innocent child, this infant baby. And at that moment, I decided that I would do whatever it took to ensure the safety and life of this child. Within a week or two, I bought my first case of freeze-dried food from Mountain House and went from there. I had limited resources, working as a young investigator, working for the state of Missouri, investigating murders and other crimes. My wife was a registered nurse, and we had limited resources. But we did what we could within our capability to ensure a safe haven for this child, to ensure that there would be food and clean water for this child, that she would be safe from anything that she needed to be safe from. It was 4 years later that I had done so much work and become so knowledgeable that I began holding myself out as a consultant in this area of expertise. I still do these private consultations. And it's always fun to meet people meet these, typically they're married couples that want some personal, customized advice as to what they're doing, what they have done, what they should be doing. And I do that. I do private consultations. I do private speaking engagements also. And public speaking engagements. It could be for a family, or like this past Saturday in Hattiesburg, it could be open to the public. They both have their merit. I've been told by my sponsor in Hattiesburg that she wants to bring me back down there for another speaking engagement, and I told her that I would certainly do that. It just needs to be put together, and I'll make the trip down there. It's an 8-hour drive from St. Louis to Hattiesburg, Interstate Highway, most of that 8 hours, Interstate 55. It's a pleasant drive. I put the audio book in, and the miles just, get the audio book going, and the miles just melt away. You might, if you're interested in audio books, your local library will have audio books at no charge that you can borrow. Cracker Barrel rents audio books for a very minimal fee that you can rent the audio book at one Cracker Barrel and drop it off at another Cracker Barrel. Truck stops have audio books for sale. They're all on CD now, by the way, and you won't find any available on cassette anymore. I've got some older ones that are on cassette in my private library. Yeah, but I was talking to somebody about audiobooks the other day and how I wish I had thought to start using audiobooks much earlier in my life. I could have got a lot of useful information as well as entertainment, because there's all kinds of practical things. Learning a foreign language, for example, lectures on various topics for self-improvement that you can get on audiobooks. I've had several jobs where a 45-mile commute one way was part of the job. And then frequently those jobs would go on for years at a time. That's a chunk of time. You add that up over weeks and months and years, it's a lot of time on the highway that with audiobooks could have been much more productive time as opposed to staring out a windshield listening to music or whatever it might be, or talk radio. The audiobooks, I'm trying to encourage people here. The audiobooks could have been a big benefit for me in hindsight. And we all have 20/20 hindsight, don't we? Yes, of course we do. But no regrets. I move forward. I borrow audiobooks from the library. I listen to them and I enjoy them. And I encourage people to consider doing that themselves. Going back to field training exercise USS Liberty, December 31st, 2018. That's 14 months away to the day. 14 months away to the day. What are you doing? Do you have your spiritual house in order? The single most important thing you can do? I hope so. Working on your physical abilities, your ability to walk a distance, perhaps run a short distance, pick up objects, do manual labor. Are you working on those things? You need to be. I could be in better physical condition than I am. My motivation is typically for competition. I haven't ran a 100-meter dash now for 9 years. Last time I ran, I was 60 years old, and I ran 15.7, a 100-meter dash. That's my event. I'll do others just to be doing them. Maybe the running long jump and so forth, but my event is a 100-meter dash and has been since I was a youngster. Of course, they call it the 100-yard dash. The 100 meters is about 10 yards farther than 100 yards, by the way. But the record I set in high school remained unbroken for 10 years in the 100-yard dash. But work on your physical your physical abilities. Walking is great exercise. You don't need to do strenuous workouts. You don't need special equipment. It's better to walk on grass than it is hard surfaces. A lot better on your joints, by the way. So walking on grass is a lot better than walking on pavement. Same thing with running. Running on grass or running on one of these tracks. Most high school tracks these days have a rubber surface on them, and that's a lot better for your joints to be running on one of those than on a hard surface, concrete or asphalt. What do you need? Well, you need skills. If you're with a group of 6 people or 600, I know this is repetition for some of you, but this is new for you new listeners. The 2 skills you'll need the most and being in short supply are the following 2 skills: emergency medical treatment skills and ham radio skills. That's the 2 skills you'll find in biggest demand and shortest supply. You need both, quite frankly. I'm going to a meeting today with our local sheriff, and I just printed out our training schedule for our local preparedness group so I can bring that. It's a meeting of several people involved in preparedness for our county. So we have our training schedule for 2018 already planned out for 12 training sessions for 12 months, all of them on Saturdays. And it's going to be a good year for us. We never know what year or what month will be the last year or the last month for training before, quote unquote, the balloon goes up. That's a term that comes from the 19th century, by the way, when hot air balloons were sent up to be observers for the battlefield, so the commanders could know what was going on at a distance with these hot air balloons. So when you saw the balloon go up, that meant the battle was about to begin. That's where the expression comes from. So, get your training. First aid training, where can you get that? Well, hospitals put it on, fire departments put it on, junior colleges put it on, Red Cross puts it on. Lots of places to find both first aid and CPR training for little or no expense. Ham radio, well, you can go online. The ARRL, that's Alpha Romeo Romeo Lincoln website. You can find some helpful hints there to get your ham radio license. There's ham radio clubs all over the United States. Most towns of any size have one. Once the town gets around 10,000 to 20,000 people or bigger, it's going to be most likely be at least one ham radio club. The bigger cities are going to have 6 or 7 or 8 or 10, depending on the size of the city, ham radio clubs. Average age is 60 plus. Men and women who typically have been doing this for decades have a wealth of knowledge, which they're more than glad to share. Almost all ham radio operators are interested in preparedness. People always ask me, John, how can I find people of like mind? Well, a ham radio club is a great place to find people of like mind, even more so than a gun club. Majority of men and women involved in the gun culture aren't all that more interested in preparedness than the average citizen, maybe slightly more so, but they're more interested in their sport, in their pastime of whatever it might be, target shooting or play pigeons or combat pistol competition, whatever it might be. Now, those 2 skills are the most important. In addition, there's literally dozens of other skills that could be of great importance during a short-term or long-term crisis. Dozens of skills. Gardening and animal husbandry come to mind for a long-term crisis. Basic skills of construction, of different types of construction, carpentry, plumbing, electrical work, roofing, concrete work. I have some of those skills myself. I'm not an accomplished carpenter, but I'm an okay carpenter. I can follow directions. I'm a fairly decent plumber. I grew up in a plumbing family and could have become a plumber if I chose to. I chose not to. I've put roofs on, shingle roofs. I've put flat roofs on. I've done that. A lot of painting. Painting's not necessarily a survival skill, but it could be necessary to have painting for a skill. Mechanical work. Well, I can follow instructions there. The diagnosing has become quite technical with these computerized automobiles. But get all the skills you can. Child care is important. How do you cook without electricity? How do you clean your clothes without electricity? How do you do that? There's ways these things can be done. You need to know them. You do need to know them. How to repair a flat tire. Great skill. Cut firewood, use a chainsaw, a log splitter. Skills that are very important. Hunting and fishing, obviously. How do you preserve meat when there's no electricity, no freezer? Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Wednesday, the first day of November. My purpose in this hour has been to encourage you, motivate you, get you to move forward with your own preparedness. I've seen firsthand the consequences of terrorist attacks. It's not watching a movie or a TV show. When you see children whose homes have been burned down, their mothers their fathers attempting to take care of them in a city park, toilet facilities with 55-gallon drums that people have to squat over. They whatever possessions they've got, they managed to escape with before their homes were burned down by the enemy, by the Viet Cong. Making little shelters out of whatever pieces of plastic or cardboard they can because their homes are gone. The young man that worked for us in my outfit, he's a young Vietnamese teenage boy. He was maybe 15, 16 years old. He did work for us around our place. His home was burned down by the Viet Cong, and we took up a collection among ourselves out of our own pockets. The U.S. Army did not do this. It was our money out of our pockets. Keep in mind, my monthly pay when I was in Vietnam was $185 a month. That was it. That included $50 a month combat pay. I was supposed to be getting pay for flying combat air missions, which I never did get. But we took up a collection to have his family be able to build a new home for themselves out of our own pockets. Those thoughts, those images and smells and sounds are just as fresh in my brain as if they happened yesterday, although it was half a century ago. And they always will be. I don't have to guess what human misery is like. I've seen it up close and personal. I've smelled it up close and personal. I've heard it up close and personal. And these are images, sights, sounds, and smells that never go away. And I know there's no 11th commandment issued by Moses saying the United States of America is immune. That commandment was not issued. Of course we're susceptible. And New York City got a wake-up call once again yesterday about being susceptible. There's no place safe from all hazards, natural or man-made. That place doesn't exist. Every place on this planet is vulnerable to either natural or man-made hazards, or both. Or both. It doesn't matter where you are. To believe otherwise is to live a fantasy. To think that the government's going to be there to help you. The same government that couldn't find the Superdome that you can see from outer space was the government that couldn't find the Superdome in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina for what, a week? Yeah, that government's going to take care of you? Excuse me. And that was a localized event where the rest of the country was still intact. We're out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Have a great day. Get your medical supplies, your energy, clean your essential oils now while you can, your firearms and ammunition. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.